Hello and welcome to On the Agenda, a semi-monthly podcast by the City of Reno that keeps you up to date on recent council meetings, city projects, and what's happening within the halls of City Hall, all within the time it takes you to drive to work, or maybe loop McCarran Boulevard if it's not construction season. Today, we're talking public safety and the future of the Reno Police Department following the swearing in of Reno's new police chief, Corey Solferino. We'll discuss his background, priorities for the department, and what residents can expect moving forward. I'm AJ from the City of Reno's communications team, and joining me, as always, Reno City Manager Jackie Bryants. Hello, Reno City Manager Jackie Bryants.
Hello, AJ.
How are you today?
I am good. I am fully caffeinated.
Oh, good.
I have had some sleep from last night. It was a long meeting, but we got a lot done.
A lot done. We have a new team member. We all
do.
Kinds of great things. And a balanced budget.
And a balanced budget.
We got to go back
about that a little bit.
We're going to talk about the balanced budget.
Can't help it. I'm so excited about that. That was a lift, but boy, we did it. Thank you, this team. Thank you, our finance director and everyone in finance who helped get us over the finish line. Really good stewards of taxpayer dollars. I'm very impressed.
For the balanced budget.
At BALANCED. Balanced.
Before we get into today's conversation, let's take a quick look at a few highlights from the last council meeting.
So in addition to adopting the final budget and fee schedule for the City of Reno for FY 26-27, which we refer to as the FY 27 General Fund Balance Budget, we also adopted, or Council, also adopted a RDA budget, which has some significant capital improvement projects in it. So I'm looking forward to having those come to fruition. Council accepted the allocation of the Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnership and Emergency Solutions Grant Program grant funds. These programs help with things like rental and deposit assistance, developing affordable housing, investing in community infrastructure like playgrounds and pedestrian improvements. It's really one of our shining stars, and so we're always really excited when we get to bring that forward. There was also an amendment to the Reno Municipal Code, Title 18, to provide for a temporary exception to the conditional use permit regulations for indoor live entertainment within the entertainment core for the next 18 months. This is going to be a pilot program where we're going to try out a different approach to allowing businesses with less regulatory oversight to conduct indoor live entertainment, make sure that they have an appropriate security plan, not disruptive to their neighbors, but gives them more flexibility so that they can run their business how they see fit.
Fantastic. If you would like to review full staff reports, presentations, and council highlights, make sure you visit reno.gov/news. Now on to today's topic. Reno City Council officially ratified and swore in Reno's new chief of police, Corey Solferino, and apparently as a welcome gift, we asked him to be on the podcast. So thank you, Chief, for joining us on the agenda.
AJ. Thank you, Manager.
Appreciate you being here.
We have a gift receipt for you if you want to return this a welcome gift.
No, you cannot return any gifts. No take backs.
So let's just get right into this,
Please.
Chief. For listeners who may be meeting you for the first time, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Corey Solferino outside of the badge? What should the community know about you as Reno's new police chief?
Most importantly, family man. My two daughters and my son and my wife, we work hard, we play hard. That's kind of our family mantra. We don't get into Christmas or birthdays or holidays. We kind of do travel destinations. We make the memories, take the picture, buy the car, make the memory. So that's kind of our MO. And then I'm a hack golfer too. So I'm not a good golfer. I'm a hack golfer. So that's kind of like my stress relief, running and golfing, and being out with family and friends.
I would find golfing stressful, not stress relieving.
It was when I first started about 5 years ago. I used to make fun of people that golfed, and then I went into a golf tournament with a good friend of mine for the Reno Rodeo, and I've been hooked ever since. And I said, I missed out on a lot of this. So now instead of losing an entire box of balls, now I only lose, maybe a few balls. So
right,
it's practice.
Yeah. You've said before that Reno is home for you. You grew up here, you went to school here, and you built a career in the region. So how does that local connection shape the way that you approach this role?
I think it's very important too. It's about building relationships, about, going across jurisdictional boundaries, statewide. And from my tenure at, Galena High School and meeting people in the community, Galena was an awesome opportunity. I first started at Reno High School, and then when Galena opened, my parents relocated. They bought a home in the Virginia City Highlands, and Galena kind of morphed Wooster and Reno. So I got to double the footprint. And then obviously went up to the University of Nevada, continued those relationships, got into law enforcement early, and through K-9 and through SWAT and through hostage negotiations and CIT and all of the different communities and specialty teams, you get to meet different people. I got the opportunity under Sheriff Allen to go down and represent the sheriff as a public safety lobbyist and advocate for public safety, not necessarily the union side and union membership. We were rights of management and public safety. Sheriff Balaam continued that initiative, so I got to work 4 special sessions and 4 regular sessions and develop those relationships with our policymakers in the state, and that just expanded my footprint. So I think Reno it's growing, but it's still hometown community. It has that, 6 degrees of separation where you always find somebody. And I think that's really important to, running an organization, not pretending to know all of the answers, picking up the phone, making that contact, making that telephone call, and making sure that our community's safe.
And you have a master's degree? I was reading your resume.
I'm actually, if I ever have the time, I would love to finish my PhD. And I've talked about some things that we can do in this space relative to public safety. One of the things that I was proud of when I did my master's, I was still in law enforcement. Obviously, I was doing it as I was going through a career, and I wanted to do something meaningful. So when I wrote my thesis, I read an article on negative strain theory, and I was like,
what
okay,
is negative strain theory?
It's basically how negative impacts can happen to officers based upon their trauma. So when we start talking about wellness and we start talking about what we do and how we analyze and how we manage trauma. Our officers are an investment. We have, hundreds of thousands of dollars in training and equipment and salary into them, and we've never really addressed the wellness space until recently. Early in my career, we had a critical incident. We would go meet at 7-Eleven or a gas station, do a debrief, and then we were back in briefing the next day. We really didn't get that opportunity outside of the hot wash to really address what we were seeing. And, you showed up for work. It was okay if you got injured, you tore your shoulder or busted your knee, you go to the doctor, you get fixed, you come back, but you were never really able to digest what we saw, whether it was...
Because this is really, it's not just specific to RPD, but throughout the law enforcement
100%.
community, it just wasn't appropriate or considered okay to be vulnerable and to say, hey, I had this horrible experience and it's affecting me. It affects me at home. It affects me at work. And now
100%.
You're really an advocate for helping bring that to a different place.
We have to be, and you've seen the tabloids across the country, and this isn't specific to our organization, but all, and you talk about law enforcement in general and, divorces, extramarital affairs, alcoholism, injuries on the job.
Substance use disorders.
Yeah, so when I wrote my thesis, I wrote it on maladaptive coping strategies and its effect on police legitimacy. So if we don't have these early warning detection systems, which are like excessive use of force, pursuits, complaints about the citizens and what they're going through, we don't know what's happening to our officers at home behind closed doors. But when they come in, we have those momentary connections and briefing where, hey, I can see Corey's not being himself today. Me, if I'm a good sergeant, I'm going to go up and go talk to Corey and go, hey, what's going on, Are you
okay at
is
home?
Everything at
Yeah,
home?
everything
and
working.
have those. I want our supervisors, our leadership to be able to go in there and understand what our people's good days are and bad days are and help them navigate and mitigate those, because I've lost a lot of friends on the job to alcoholism that, weren't able to salvage their careers or had to punch out and couldn't, had too much pride to ask for help, and where the agency and the individual could have truly come together and save face. And I'm now grateful for the fact that we're finally getting to that point where we can talk about wellness, and
Where it's not taboo anymore to have these conversations.
Agreed. We need to get better at that. There's still stigmas attached to it, but I think we've got an awesome opportunity with our appropriation. In fact, Lieutenant Kelly Dunn is one of my champions for that right now. I've reached out to friends of mine that are chiefs of police at Louisville and Las Vegas Metro that have well-established programs that have been 10 years in the making, where they actually have their own wellness building now, and saying, look, based upon where you guys are at now from where you began, what are your top 5 priorities? If you only had this much money, what would your top priorities be to go and move forward? And again, not to pretend to try to know the answer, but try to be efficient with our money. Balanced budget, important monies that our federal government are giving us. We know that those are precious, and we don't want to waste them on experiments that have failed elsewhere. We want to make sure that we're making good decisions.
Well, in other areas of careers, doctors, lawyers, they also have significant substance use disorders, divorce rates, other things that really kind of affect the stress, or it's a result of the stress, I should say. And they've built infrastructures around those humans in order to help protect them. We haven't quite gotten there throughout the entire law enforcement profession.
No, but we will. And, we've always focused on like critical incidents and officer-involved shootings and that trauma. And one of the things I really started looking at when I was over at the Sheriff's Office as Chief Deputy of Operations was our MATE team.
And what's MATE?
MATE is our Major Accident Investigation Team. So we send our officers out, our motor officers, our traffic officers out to critical crashes all over the city. And unfortunately, that is one of my priorities as we're moving forward, is the amount of vehicle versus pedestrian accidents and just general traffic congestion in the city. The trauma that they see, the human body placed in several things, and accidents with kids and accidents with minors, and every death and tragedy is absolutely horrible. But I want to pay particularly close attention to our traffic division, because we always ask them to go out and investigate these crimes, and they're on scene, and that's something that's routinely overlooked. Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to seeing some improvements in that area. The other area where I think you and I have talked about, and I'd like to kind of pull the curtain back and talk for the community. And by the way, this isn't going to be our only conversation. But we've talked a lot about how we really need to be more forward-facing and in the community to kind of make sure that we are all, that everyone has a common understanding, the goals, and really moving forward with some transparency and trust with RPD. But talk a little bit about your vision on how you would like to further interact with the community and really enhance trust.
Community policing is the staple, the tenet of law enforcement in modern day. If we don't have the trust of the public, then we're never going to understand what's happening in our communities. The only times that we can affect an arrest or make a legal intervention is when we see that crime that happens right in front of us as it's occurring, which is a small fraction of the time through our proactive patrols or being in the right place at the right time, or if the community calls us and we respond and we can investigate and we can do that. So if we don't have that phone call, if we don't have that trust, then we're not going to understand what's happening behind closed doors and what's happening out there. So I learned a lot of things from dealing with the unhoused population, from dealing with the mental health community, especially with building the jail-based mental health program within the jail. Sheriff Balaam was a champion for that, and it really taught the barriers that the uniform brings. And actually going out there into different communities, to different individuals, irrespective of their immigration status, that uniform is a barrier. So what have we tried to do with our unhoused population? We've tried to soften that uniform. What do we try to do with the jail-based mental health program? We softened that uniform. I'm a stickler for rank and order in uniform and professional appearance, but I do understand that, when we're doing the community outreach, that while I don't necessarily agree in the professionalism, I understand like the polo and the slacks approach to be more approachable, to have those community conversations where they don't feel that this duty belt, this uniform is a barrier to that. I want to have those conversations.
Down the conversation.
100%.
We need to enhance the conversation, and sometimes you have to meet people where they are, even though it doesn't necessarily align with your kind of perspective or view on the world. If you want to further the conversation, you got to listen and do it in a way that they will hear you.
And I think that the more forward-facing we are with those community events and outreach, and having worked for the Sheriff's Office for 27 years, and I want to bring that same reputation to the city, and going out there and being in more spaces and doing more community outreach, barbecues. There's ways that we can agree and disagree on issues, but I think when we sit down at the table, we have a cup of coffee, we break bread together, that's how you break down those barriers. So I really want to be a champion for that effort.
And that can take a long time.
It can.
But it's time well spent. And the community deserves it. They expect it. So I'm looking forward to the continued conversations and the kind of outreach that you're going to bring to this organization.
I love it. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm thrilled.
Hold up. You said barbecue. Are you a barbecuer?
I am.
Are you a barbecue first?
I am. So.
Do you grill or do you barbecue with charcoal?
Oh no, I don't barbecue with charcoal. I Traeger.
Oh.
You can't mess up a Traeger.
Yeah,
all right.
Man, charcoal, it's too much.
Bless my wife's heart. She bought me the Cadillac of Traegers. I had the same one for 20 years, and last year she upgraded for me at the rodeo. We got a smoking deal, and this thing is just absolutely amazing.
The smoking deal. That's a good pun. I like
love
that.
Play on words.
We don't take up too much more of your time with Chief Solferino, so just one more question. If there's one thing you hope that Reno residents take away from this conversation and your leadership moving forward, what would that be?
Trust. I've built a career and a legacy on trust and being in this community and making relationships and being approachable, and just trust the process and trust me. And if you have a question, ask. Obviously, it's hard sometimes to get all the way to the top, but I want to be approachable. I'm in the hallways. I'm in the community. I pay attention to social media. If you've got a concern, bring it forward so we can address that issue before it gets out of hand. I think that a lot of things can be solved with dialogue and with conversation and selling that why. I think it's really important. If we just start mandating and doing things without selling the why or why we're doing it, and that could be with technology, that can be with policies, that can be with direction or enforcement. If we're not selling that why, I think people draw their own conclusions, and I want to make sure that we are communicating our intentions to the public and that the public has our trust.
Fantastic. Chief Solferino, thank you again for taking time out of your day to join us and share more about your vision for the Reno Police Department.
It's really my pleasure. Thank you.
Before we wrap up, Jackie, what are we looking forward to on the next council meeting on June 3rd?
Well, before we have a June 3rd council meeting, we have a June 1st council meeting, which will be all about data centers. It'll be the second meeting required by our process, should council wish to put in a moratorium on data centers. Then we will have a regular council meeting on June 3rd and another one on June 10th before we take the break for the summer. It's not really a break for us, it's just a break from the council meetings. Gives us a chance to do some deeper policy work, kind of prepare for the next coming fall round. But on June 3rd, council will potentially approve a couple of big projects, again with the CDBG funds, including the Hilltop Park parking lot replacement project in Ward 5 and the Paradise Park parking lot improvement project in Ward 1. They'll consider accepting a grant from the High Fives Foundation for $30,000 to support the City of Reno Adaptive Recreation Programs. If you have not heard of that program, it is absolutely amazing. Kudos to April Wolf, who is always making us better in that space. Love her passion and her commitment to this program and the people that it serves. Finally, council will consider a resolution to sell city-owned property to the Regional Transportation Commission to expand the 4th Street bus station.
Awesome. And that's, you said June 1st, data center, June 3rd, regular, June 10th, regular.
That's right. June 1 is data center, moratorium 2.0. June 3rd, June 10. We're going to do those back to back instead of skipping a week, so we get a break until the end of July.
Awesome. If you want to stay in the know with Reno, visit reno.gov/on the agenda. There you will find council agendas, city news, past episodes, and a link to sign up for the Reno Report newsletter, where all of this will be sent right to your inbox. Thank you for listening to On the Agenda, keeping you connected to decisions shaping the biggest little city.